Good afternoon. Welcome back to the shop here at Bateman. I'm going to be running through a picture frame. Hopefully in one take. I'll get it up just about to the point where we cut the angles in this video. And I'm going to try to do it in one shot. So this is pretty comprehensively our usual strategy for creating anything that's rectangular. So we start off by cutting the rough length. Today I'm doing it with a handsaw. Then we face joint, edge joint, thickness plane, and rip cut. We'll be throwing in a rabbet at the end today, but that's typically our usual first 5 steps. Cut to rough length, face joint, edge joint, thickness plane, and rip cut. It's where we start. It's where we go for most projects. So anyways, small 5x7 picture frame is what I'm going to be showing to you, and let's see how we can do it in one take. I've laid out my cut line. Oops, there you go, you're falling, wake up, wake up. I've laid out my line. I typically do a couple of back strokes just to get a nice flat surface, otherwise these teeth will get stuck on the corner. And the idea with hand cutting or hand saws is if you try too hard, you're going to get stuck and it's going to be worse. So let the weight of the saw do most of the work. I slow down at the end of the cut because I can hear the difference. So we're going to come over here to the jointer. As always, I've got my push blocks ready to go. My first step is to do, whoever cut that went a little deep, that's okay, is to do a wobble test. I check both sides. Remember, I'm looking for the flat surface. As usual, I want the board to be able to slide in and out. This torn out area may or may not be a little bit of a challenge as we move forward. We'll see how it goes once we rip this. And once we start cutting our angles, I think we'll be okay. Quick reminder about my setup here. I'm always using push sticks anytime my fingers are within 6 inches of the blade. The 2 things that I set before cutting are my blade height. What I'm looking for on my blade height is approximately a pencil's thickness above my workpiece. So somewhere around there is good. About that amount. Hoping we can see that. Let's try and get a little closer here. Yeah, so just a little bit of tooth exposed there, about a pencil's thickness. Blade guard comes down. And the second thing I'm setting is the fence. For this picture frame, we are going with 2-inch wide pieces. Move on from there. As usual, I'm not worried about that piece of wood left over. That can sit there, it's not doing any harm. I worry about it once the blade has come to a complete stop. Blade stop. That piece of wood we can now deal with safely. So what I've got at the moment, are my two sticks. These are both 2 inches wide. For this next step, I am going to start paying attention to the grain. Minimum length, by the way, on the jointer, 12 inches. Minimum length on the planer, 12 inches. Minimum length on the rip saw, 12 inches. And this grain's going to be a little bit interesting because I've got really wide pattern grain there. So that's where the end grain is pretty much parallel to the face of the board. And then I've also got a piece where it's more like a 30-degree angle. So that's okay. It'll work out. But what I'm looking for is I'm just going to see if I want to hide a knot on the back maybe, or include it. I don't think it's going to matter on these ones. Okay, off to the dado saw. Okay, off to the dado saw. So as usual, there's 2 things we're setting here. There's the blade height and the fence. I'll frequently set the blade height with the fence out of the way so that I can look and get my blade height set well. For most of our setups, we go with approximates on the blade height here. So I'm going to set the blade height for about halfway. In fact, I'll go a little bit under, just in case I decide to do a routed profile along that edge. In fact, I will be doing a routed profile along that edge. So blade height just under halfway. So wheel on the front again. And what I'm doing for the fence this time, this is a 1/4 inch blade that I've got set up. That's just the single wide dado blade. And what I'm doing with the fence is I'm making sure that I'm leaving about 1/2 millimeter between the fence and the blade. Blade guard comes down and I'm going to adjust that so it's a little bit closer to the blade. There we go. Got my 2 push sticks ready to go. Hey, wake up. Where do you think you're going? You falling asleep? Okay, here we are. Let's try that again. So you'll notice, because I set the fence a little bit off the blade, I do have a sliver of wood there. When I break that, I try to fold it into the rabbet, and then to clean it up, I just run sandpaper on a 45 to break that off. Let's see it back. Okay, so just in quick review, face joint, cut to rough length, face joint, edge joint, thickness plane, rip cut. I finished off by doing the rabbet along this edge. My next step, before I cut my 45s, before I cut my 45-degree corners, is to create a profile along this edge with the router table, but I'm not going to record that. Not at this point anyways. It might be in part 2. Okay, thanks for watching.